Good Monday morning. All right, I am bringing on the audacious founder. Give us a moment. As always, takes just 14th, 16th week that we've been doing this. You know how proud Melissa and I are? We have showed up and here we are. So we're starting to figure it out now. Hey girl,
Hey.
it's Monday.
Well, you're already going live without me, man.
Well, I'm doing the thing. There's nothing that hurts my heart more than an awkward silence. And like believe me, I'm all about the intentional pause. That's okay. I think that there's beautiful space and things that happen in an intentional pause, but the awkward silence, it does. It's like it hurts my soul. I can't do it. So I was just feeling the dead air is what I was doing.
Your hair looks great. Oh my goodness.
Hey, shower day. Come on, come on. To all those busy entrepreneurs, all those mamas
Gotta
out
make
there, like shower
time.
day.
Gotta make time to do the hair.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, girls. So today we're talking about working with vendors in our businesses. And this was something that you brought up. So kind of set the scene for us, because I know it sounds like this is also a conversation that you're having a lot with some of your clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just on a call yesterday with somebody, and he's very frustrated because he feels like, and I've actually heard this from another client as well, that it's like they look for so long for, let's say, a CPA that they
Okay.
really like, that is also maybe a little bit strategic, because a lot of CPAs are just doing the taxes, they're just preparing, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so, they're looking for somebody that can be creative but still like not break the law. And so they
That's
think
called
that they,
strategy. That's called
yeah,
strategy.
yeah. And maybe they think that they found somebody, they're like giving them a lot of good suggestions, and then something shifts, right? I've got,
Mhm.
this other vendor that a lot of people have been working with, and I think he's having a lot of health issues, right? So it's like these people all have signed up with him, but then he can't actually provide the service that was promised because of all of these external issues, right? And so, yeah, I'm thinking about a couple of scenarios all smushed together into one. But so yeah, it's like, how do you find people that you really like working with,
Mhm.
first of all, and then what do you do if that changes? Um, so for me, like the first thing that came up was, just like you have a criteria for your investments, you should have a criteria for vendors
Mhm.
that you're looking for,
Agreed.
right? Yeah. And I know that you and I have chatted about this, like with personal stuff recently. So is there anything around that you want to bring up, or like, what do you see around this?
Yeah, like where my brain is going is like, so vendor is, I think not only I think vendor could be like, maybe even we start there, like defining a vendor,
I'm a
because I
vendor.
think
You're a vendor.
that,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, I think that it could be, anybody who's contributing to like, personal development, as much as like, hey, are you outsourcing a particular service? Are
Mhm.
you, so maybe even that's what it is. So when, for the purpose of this conversation, like your clients, that where this is coming up, someone, it's an outsourced service is what it sounds like.
Yeah, yeah. And like you're saying, it could be so many different things. Like, it's really anybody that you might consider to be a part of your team. So like, I just
Hmm.
hired a VA, right?
Yeah.
So I consider them to be a vendor.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
In the same way that, for instance, like there's a piece of me that's my brain's going to like a coach,
mhm.
if that's, I mean, that would be part of your team. And so, VA, coach, CPA, I think a lot of us probably immediately go to like experience, right? Like
Mhm.
when I was looking for a coach, or when you were looking for a VA, we like to get into the weeds of like, well, what's the experience look like?
Yeah.
And then we're kind of setting ourselves up a little bit. I don't think I mean, after working in staffing for 14 years, I don't think that just
Mhm.
going off of the resume is a really great option. I actually think that you miss a whole
Yeah.
heck of a lot of soft skills, or just because someone was with this company or in this role, black and white paper says maybe that they have this set of skills, but that's not always the same across the organizations, or like the exposure that they were getting. So I think that part of the due diligence, so maybe like step one is there's a due diligence. right? Due diligence on really defining what we need, like what is the service that we are really outsourcing, because I think that then that helps us manage our own expectations.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So due diligence on like really defining what we need, and
Mm-hmm.
then due diligence on the partner, the team member, the resource that we're looking at leaning into. And I think that that goes way beyond just looking at the experience. I think that there's like the value of getting someone on a call, right? And you guys who are listening, I mean, please chime in. Like the reason Melissa and I, we have these conversations is like we want to bounce ideas off of, and what aren't we thinking of? What different perspectives are there out there? So due diligence of like having a conversation like with your VA. I'm assuming you at least had like a video interview, phone interview, something. Please tell me you did some type of like interview.
Do as I say, guys. Don't do as I do. Do as I say. So okay, when my clients tell me that they want to hire, let's say a VA, or any vendor, I'm always like, find at least 3, interview them, do more due diligence on each one of them, compare it all, pros and cons, all the things. Okay, I had a Zoom call with her, and you know what? Let's try it out.
The
Let's
first
go.
one.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but also like I mean, hey, when you know, you know.
I mean, but you
But
don't know. I
I
don't feel like that. Yeah. That's kind of why too, because I was just like, you know what? She's checking all the boxes so that, I mean, but I guess that I was mentally checking off boxes. That's like a part of the due
yeah.
diligence, right? Like you're checking off the boxes, but it's also kind of like you said, just because they check off the boxes doesn't necessarily mean they're going to come through. I had hired a VA before, and she was great. We had a call. She was great. She came from like a recommended source.
Okay.
So I had like a
Girl.
testimonial,
Totally.
and the first week she disappeared, and I thought she disappeared like doing work, but I messaged her maybe 2 weeks later, and I was like, hey, so where are we at? How far have we got? Oh, I've been sick for the last 2 weeks. I haven't been able to do anything. And so it's like she was great. So I thought, but then
Mm-hmm.
it was something else that came. So in my mind, it's kind of like I need to jump in a little bit and like test it out. And I did structure it so that I'm paying by the week. So at least
Okay.
I can kind of take, see how it goes, stick my toe in the
Yeah.
water,
Yeah.
and if I need to cancel, I can. But yeah, that
I
was a
think
tangent.
no, it was good time because I think that where you landed with it was really smart. Is that especially in the gig economy that we live in,
Mm-hmm.
there are so many like the freelancers out there. Folks are willing to be creative, and like creative sign on. So for instance, hey, let's try this out for both parties. Let's set up a
Yeah.
week by week type of
Yeah.
thing. Or maybe it is like you start off with even though you want this whole project, this whole service to go from A to Z, you don't have to sign away the farm, right? But I think that's a
Right.
saying. You don't have to sign away the farm all right out of the gates. Like
Mm-hmm.
setting, I think people are open to that. But also too, because I think people are getting sick and tired of signing up for contracts that they hate just as much as the person who now is anticipating that they're going to deliver on it. So I think that actually that creates a lot more freedom. It's one of the reasons people are getting into that type of work too. So why not leverage that and get creative with the sign on and the, hey, what does this potentially look like for us to even just start? Screw the whole dang thing, but let's just start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also kind of like from the A to Z thing, it's like
Yeah.
we don't need to start with A to Z.
Yeah.
Let's start with A and B.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how it goes, and then we'll add on
Yeah.
C, and we'll keep adding on to it. Um,
I,
and I think like criteria wise,
uh-huh.
communication was like a big thing, at least for me with this one. I was really curious to see how quickly was she going to be starting to work on this stuff, how quickly, because it was a lot of work for me to organize everything. I'm still not even done organizing everything to pass off to her. And so what is she going to be doing while she's waiting? Is she going to be proactive? Is she going to be, or is she going to be just, yeah, and she has been proactive. So like that's a really good sign, which there's no way I could have known before.
Yeah. And I think that's a couple different thoughts here. First off, I'm like, way to go, friend. Like, it is so hard I think it's so hard for folks to want to delegate, or it's not that they don't want to delegate. Everybody talks about wanting to be able to delegate, but then actually being able to release the grip of control on a task,
So,
that's really, really tough
yeah.
for folks. And so, like, I commend you on being willing and able to at least just try it out. And I think that goes back to a lot of confidence too, right? Like, even if this goes sideways, like, hey,
We'll be
somehow, some way, I'll figure out how to pick it back up. And then also too, and I think that this is, especially when we're willing to outsource, it just makes us better leaders within our own business.
Totally.
Because, right, like, you have to be able to define the expectations. Like, we have to be able to say, okay, hey, this is the project that I'm needing done, or this is what this needs to look like. And then being the leaders, the stewards of our business, the stewards of the project, that we're responsible. Like, nobody should care more about it than we do. And I think showing up in the communication and in listing out those expectations too. Sounds like you're
Yeah.
But so my brain went to another spot too. Like, what if, since we brought it up as like, hey, it's so great when you can have creative solutions for signing on a vendor. But what if, like, a vendor that you need, what if it's like, hey, out of the box, this is what I offer, A to Z. And there is no, right? Like, there is no flexibility in that. But also, too, A to Z appears to be what you need. Like, for instance, signing on with a coach.
Yeah.
Typically, when you're signing on with a coach, like, you're signing up for that program, for that desired result, for that time frame.
Yeah.
And navigating through that.
And I
What are some of the
think it's something that we don't think about is our assumptions. Like, we're assuming potentially that certain things are included. We
Yes.
don't even think to confirm that, because in our mind it's just like, duh, like, of course that.
Of course that would be included.
Yeah. And I know this is something you and I have been talking about. Like, for me,
Yeah.
if I'm bringing on a client, I'm not telling them that they should not need any other expert in marketing, any other expert in SEO, any other expert in, tech, I don't know, whatever, CPA. Like, just because I do finance doesn't mean I'm an accountant, right? So I'm not saying that you don't need an account. You need all of these other people on your team. And I also sometimes, I know I said this to you recently, I almost sometimes think too that we should have overlapping, right? Like, so if I'm working with, let's say, a branding coach, maybe I do want to hire another branding coach, because right now I have two, because one of them is really working with me on systems and process, and the other, they're literally handing it to me. And then the other branding coach is helping me figure out me and, like, what I want to plug into those systems and processes.
Yeah.
And not each coach is the same and offering the same value.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, go ahead.
And with that though, did you, like, kind of going all the way back full circle here, did you specifically have it defined, like, what you needed when you were looking for those coaches? Did you specifically go, hey, I need systems, which is why I'm going to invest in this program, this coaching, and then, hey, I need someone to, like, pull something deeper out of me?
No, and that's exactly, like, my point is, like, sometimes I think we look for the vendor not even totally knowing what we need.
Yeah.
Right. And it's a lot of times it's almost just clarity is what we need. And we're seeking, like, I don't know how to build a marketing or, like, lead funnel or whatever. I don't even know what I don't know. And so I'm looking for somebody to show me, okay, this is your goal. This is what you
Yeah.
need. And also, like, the first branding company, they had so much content that I thought it would cover every single base, but it just wasn't hitting.
Everything you did.
Yeah. And so then
Yeah.
finding this other person that somehow they say it in a different way, and it just, like, calculates, it translates
It clicks.
in a different way.
Well, and so to that point then, like, okay, so you get into this program, or you get with the vendor, or how your clients had mentioned, you start the relationship, you sign the contract, and now something shifts. And I think too, like how you mentioned, well, something kind of shifted in me is what you mentioned, almost like,
Yeah.
not shifted in you, but just things kind of what you needed at different times, and who could deliver that. Sometimes that changes, but like with the CPA example, or now all of a sudden this person who's a part of your team, they're not showing up. I think that as leaders, like I know for me, what I've experienced is like you want to give folks the benefit of the doubt. Like I want to try and see, like I'm the first person to be like, okay, where did I not set clear expectations along the way? Or did I not put a process in place that I now need to put a process in place? And then it's like, okay, you get one more try. And then if that process or that expectation isn't delivered against, then at this point in time, I can cancel the contract. Is kind of how I've navigated that. What are some of your thoughts?
I don't know. I mean,
Because life happens.
yeah.
Life happens for everybody.
I guess it just depends on the entire scenario, right? Like if it's
Yeah.
a CPA, that's per project, I guess you could say. So it's like you could obviously just go and find a new CPA. You don't have to cancel any contract. Um, but if it's like a coach and you've signed, let's say, a year-long thing or a 6-month thing, I mean, that's why the contract is there to protect, honestly, to protect both parties. But I think in that case, that becomes tricky because, like, you sign this legal document, and if they're not blatantly like not meeting the expectations set in that document, then I guess there's no basis for canceling that agreement.
Yeah.
So
If it
that can
if
be
it
tough.
which then I guess would go back to the due diligence of not only like when you're looking for a vendor,
Hmm.
but then when you're actually onboarding a vendor, so
Hmm.
that expectations are clear.
Yeah, and I would say that that's an exit strategy too,
Totally.
right? So again, same for like it's an investment in yourself, in this
Mm-hmm.
person, right? So same thing if it's like a financial product that you're putting your money into. It's like, okay, if this doesn't go according to plan, how do I get out of it?
Yeah.
And maybe that means negotiating the contract in the front end a bit and saying, hey, if we go 6 months and I'm not seeing progress, then I
Don't want.
have the ability to cancel. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Things I could admit as a new entrepreneur I need to do better with.
Yeah, so much of this criteria, I think people are really hard on themselves when it comes to this
Yeah.
kind of stuff because so much of this we don't think about until
Until
we
we're in
have,
it.
yeah, and something bad happens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, One thing I will say that I like, kind of like a tip that doesn't
Yeah.
exactly have to do with that particularly, but just one tip of like, sometimes I find that people sign on with vendors or invest in certain things because so and so said it was good, right? I'm about to send a referral for the new VA and for one of the branding coaches that I have to a friend of mine. And I mean, I hope they sign up because I think it would be good for them. But at the end of the day, if they sign up without actually like taking the time to analyze this and look at the exit
For
strategies and
themselves.
read the contract,
Mm-hmm.
right? And make sure, because I don't know if the VA is going to actually do all the things
Yeah.
that they need,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if they need to do the due diligence for themselves and not just take somebody's word for it. So I think that's something really good to remember because people think, oh, this is easy. It's working for Mike, so it's going to work for me.
Yes. I literally had this experience in the last week. Same thing where
Ooh.
it's like someone was like this, so they've been recommending this particular platform for quite
Uh-oh.
some time. And I
Is it
finally
me with later?
no, it was not
Okay.
you. It was not you. No, that one I'm
Okay.
in. No, no, I would
Okay.
be like, your recommendation was
Yeah, call
awful.
me
Please
out.
do
Call
not
me out.
recommend a VA. No, I'm just kidding. No, this is something different, right? Because it's that balance of like, listen, entrepreneurship, we don't have to build these businesses in silos. In fact, like if you could get into community, if you can get into different networks, if you could leverage other resources out there, like that's how you're going to go into hyperspeed growth mode for your business. So like, but you're right. I think sometimes we get so focused on this speed and I need immediate ROI, that we forget about that due diligence on the front that is going to ultimately save us a ridiculous amount of times. Literally in the last week, it was like I signed up for this vendor, this platform, and like it's not. It's just it's just not. And of course, I definitely had my, okay, I just need to make this decision not to it. I mean, I was very much so in that space a couple weeks ago, over the last couple weeks, when you and I were talking about a couple other things too, where it was like, fine, I just need to go all in and commit, so of course I signed up for the annual plan for this.
That's a lesson that I learned too. Go ahead. Good.
Signed up for the annual plan for this vendor that I haven't even tried.
Sometimes they'll reimburse you. If you cancel quick enough, sometimes they'll give it back, or they'll prorate it or something.
I'm gonna have to at least ask, because it's not. Yeah, I will at least ask.
So I started doing the same thing because it's so nice when you just pay it for the year and you don't have to worry. And also, that's something that we're always teaching clients in terms of financial coaching, is like certain expenses are eating away at your monthly income, so you can pay them off for the year. Now you free that money up to invest in other things, right? So I was doing that with, like, I don't know, Canva, the website host, the podcast, all of these things. And there were some things that I had done it without having actually used the platform before and realized that I didn't like it. Yeah. So now I always do monthly,
at least for a little bit.
Yeah.
Learned that one. So,
but reach out. You'll probably get some money back at least.
I'll at least try. Because it ain't working.
Oh, bummer.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because it's so exciting when we find a new platform, we find a new VA, find a new
somebody loves it. Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna love it too. And then you don't love it, and then you're out a couple $100, and you're like, dang it.
Or even at that, like some of these Kajabi's, like, I want to say almost like $1,900 or $2,000 for the year.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, some of them can really be. And then too, when when you're buying them, they really do. It makes the marketing, like what you're seeing, it is all out there for a reason. When they're like 60% off the annual plan, you're like, well, obviously this makes sense.
Oh, I know. It's a constant kind of like almost argument in my head. It's true.
Yeah.
They get you, but that's why they do it. And so that's what you have to remind yourself. Okay, perfect example with like real estate investing.
Okay.
There was a turnkey vendor who they had property in some random place, Alabama or something. And they were giving a promotion that was 0% down.
Okay.
But the property wouldn't make money for the first year, and it may have actually lost money during the first year. I think you would have had to cover expenses up to maybe like 25,000 in the first year. Right? We teach a cash flow strategy where we want cash flow yesterday. We want cash flow ASAP. So people were so excited about this 0% down because they were like, oh, I'm getting this property for free. But you just purchased a liability. This is taking $25,000 out of your pocket.
Yep.
For the next 12 months.
You can't do. You cannot.
But it's that psychology, right? Of like, ooh, I'm getting this for free. Ooh, I'm getting $200 off.
There's marketing experts out there for a reason. Like, their whole job is to get your brain to glitch out, and they're really good at it.
Yes. So think twice.
Yeah, think
twice.
Don't
let them trick you.
Go with our gut. Ooh, lessons learned.
But also, going back to what you were saying earlier about the expectations, I think that's honestly the most important one.
Yeah.
Like,
I think
trying to be just like as clear and no assumptions about what's included in the thing that you are purchasing.
Yeah. No assumptions. Agreed. Expectations first, and then that second one is due diligence. Is kind of what I'm walking away. Due diligence on all sides, including maybe interviewing at least 2 different people.
I know. Shame. Yeah, I know. We'll see. I mean, I emailed like 6.
Okay, that counts. 6.
Not really. But
you interviewed one 0.00006%.
Yeah. 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 You know, what's the thing with staffing and like hiring people? Hire slow and fire fast. Oh no,
Yeah,
no, hire fast. No, what is it?
hire slow,
Oh,
fire
so I
fast.
did it the
Although,
opposite. I'm
although
sorry.
really it is, you just want to hire is it's just you just want to be diligent with it, but it's not it's something ridiculous to it. And I mean it obviously depends on like the size of the organization and the role and stuff like that, but it's like having a spot on your team, like an essential spot on your team unfilled for even like 2 weeks,
Mm,
the cost of that
mm.
to an organization, it's substantial. It's like because then you're having your hiring managers who are then trying to actually like they're trying to manage teams, but they're also taking time off of their desks. You're paying them to be there. Now you're paying them to try and staff. Like it's
Oh
a whole
yeah, it
thing.
just slows down the entire system.
All of it. All of it.
Mhm.
Entrepreneurship is no different. It's just a matter of like when your priorities have to shift. So you recognize, hey, I need to expand the team. I need another resource here, or I need to outsource this. You're it takes effort. You have to kind of take the foot off of this pedal so that you can put it onto the hiring one to get the right person in. But then eventually everything gets back up and going. The two marshmallow decision, right?
Wait, yeah, what?
The two marshmallow decision. I've talked about this before. I thought
Say
maybe.
it again. You have. Say it again.
Okay.
I need to hear it multiple times.
Like the very short of the long is like they did a study. They put different groups of kids in rooms, and
Mm,
they were like, okay, you can have one marshmallow now, or if you
okay,
wait
yeah.
like 10 minutes, you can have two marshmallows. It's just the study, the psychological study of like delayed gratification. And then they followed those children throughout their lives, and then who would have thought? But the ones that had like learned delayed gratification, they were quote unquote more successful
Damn
against
it.
their standards.
I
So
could see that in like my entire just history of life. Yeah, I'm
I
the immediate gratification person.
was like, you're shaking your head like you were
Shit.
the one marshmallow kid.
I am. I'm like, okay, you're a VA. I've talked to you for 5 minutes. Let's go.
One marshmallow,
Yeah.
let's go. I'm all in.
Yeah.
But I also think, right, like it's all just this beautiful balancing act because the ability to like, hey, I've talked to you for 5 minutes. I've already done some of my due diligence. Talk to you for 5 minutes. There's chemistry there. I know I've laid out my expectations. I can make decisions quickly. Like that's also a really
Mm,
huge, strong
mm.
characteristic of like a good leader and a strong entrepreneur. Can you make
That's
a decision
is
quickly?
true. Oh my God, what a contradiction though. Oh my God. Okay. That is very true because like the best leaders, that's something that I've read many times, is that the best leaders make quick decisions
Mm-hmm.
because that allows you then to get to the next decision. And then if
Educated
that,
decisions, quick, educated,
yes,
like yeah,
yes,
vetted decisions, but they're quick.
yes.
They're as quick as you can.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
if it was the
for
wrong
sure.
decision, then you adjust that on the next decision.
Sure
Yeah.
do. Mm-hmm.
So
See?
there's a bit of a yeah contradiction there. Okay, well we'll see how it turns out. Check back with check back with me in
Update
6 months.
us.
Yeah.
Update us.
One more tip too
Yeah.
with vendors, with investments, with hiring, whatever. Um, time, because I've seen people really give a lot of weight to like how long somebody has been doing something
Mm-hmm.
to equate to like how little risk there is, right? Like if somebody's been doing this thing for 8 years, that means that, oh, this is like a sure bet. No,
I don't think so. I just
no.
don't think so. I've seen it. I've seen it happen too. I've seen folks who sit in a job for 6 months and the way that they can learn and respond and like get on board with something compared to someone who's been doing the thing for 4 or 5 years. Like I think that I just think there's so many other factors beyond, hey, how long, like, have you put in your 10,000 hours on this or not? Like,
Yeah.
I think it just kind of looks, I think it looks so different for so many people. I've seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And
Hmm.
also like
More to
even
come.
if somebody is an expert and they have done this and they have it down pat, like the guy I was talking about earlier, he was the CPA and he like is having health issues. So it's like
Then what?
you know, you can't make decisions. I guess the lesson there is like, yes, you take it into consideration
Mhm.
and maybe you add a point or two, you add a little bit of weight, of value, but then you can't make a decision based off of like this one
Yeah,
thing, right? That
agree. And I think too,
suggest.
how much of our like business landscape is changing so quickly
Mm-hmm.
too, where almost I would, maybe we unpack this one, like the weight of like those soft skills a little bit even, or like the ability to learn quickly, like how much that should really be weighted in a decision
Mm-hmm.
versus years of experience. And I'm not knocking years of experience. Like I'm
Yeah.
not knocking that by any means, but I think there's just something to be said about it depends what the skill set is. It depends what the job is and all that jazz.
Yeah. I think the ability to learn quickly is a way undervalued skill.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, we
All
are
right.
at time. I feel again, as always, like so much to unpack. There's so many
This one
things
went
here.
fast.
Ah. All right, my friend. Same time, same place next week.
See you next week. Bye,
All
sweet
right.
Fergie.
Bye, guys.
Bye.